Good morning, everybody. My name is Andrew Reid. I'm the Managing Director of Augustus Minerals, and I'm going to walk through our latest presentation with you today. Here is our latest presentation. Augustus Minerals, we are searching for critical minerals up in the Gascoyne region with a focus on lithium, on rare earth, and on copper targets. Here is our forward-looking disclaimer statement. We have a very large package of tenements in Western Australia, inland from Carnarvon, approximately 250 kilometres. Our ASX ticker is AUG. We recently have listed on the ASX and we raised $10 million. We were well supported and well oversubscribed through our network of institutional backers and retail investors. Our market cap at the moment is about $27 million. We have an enterprise value of about 17, and we have a strong proportion of the shares owned by both the board and the management. Here is our board of directors. Brian Roden, who has been very well known in Western Australian mining circles. He owned and operated Australian contract mining as an underground operator for many, many years. Graham Smith has been on many ASX companies over his career, predominantly as company secretary and also as CFO. Darren Holden at the bottom is our technical director, and he pretty much led the acquisition of the tenements in the Gascoyne region that I'm going to walk through you shortly. Myself, Andrew Reid, I've been in the resources industry for 30 years. I've worked extensively right around the world, from Asia, Europe, and I spent about 15 years in Africa. And Andrew Ford, who also has about 35 years of exploration experience. He also worked with me previous to Augustus at Hastings Technology Metals, where we were developing the very large rare earth project called the Yangibana for Hastings Technology Metals. So Augustus Minerals, like I said, we have a very strategic, very large land holding position in the Gascoyne region. You can see that on the map on the right-hand side. Some of the key features of our project is the fact that there's been very little modern exploration done on this package. The entire Gascoyne region has had very little modern exploration done. It hasn't been a big area for modern exploration because it doesn't traditionally have a lot of gold or other commodities that have been well required in the past. But lately, because of the uptick in rare earths and the necessity of finding more lithium, it's become very hot property because the host rocks are very conducive to finding these type of deposits. And in fact, to the north of us, you can see some of these areas here that I'm highlighting. This is a very large rare earth deposit that was discovered by Dreadnought Resources in 2021. Down to the south, right on our southern boundary, we have a company called Delta Lithium, who's currently spending about $1.5 million per week drilling out a very large lithium deposit. We are excited because we have, within our boundary here, we have many of exactly the same host rocks that host of these deposits. So we think that there's a very good chance of replicating the results that these other companies have. Importantly for us, we have a major geological structure that you can see I'm highlighting on the screen called the Tea Tree Shear. We have approximately 85 kilometres of the Tea Tree Shear. It is already host to a large array of anomalous targets that we need to follow up over the coming months. One of the attractions of this company is that it's not just a new IPO. This is not a new listing. We've already spent about 5 years putting together the tenement package, collating all the tenure. Already about $5 million has been spent working up all of the different high priority targets that we want to go and explore over the coming months. Here's a closer picture of the tenement package with all of the surrounding tenure from our neighbours. We've got a lot of interest in our package of ground. You can see all the different coloured dots that represent all the different commodity targets that we've got, covering rare earths, covering lithium, covering gold, covering nickel, and covering copper. So we have a large amount of targets that we need to explore. We have a big tenement package. We have strong mineralisation along the tea tree shear that certainly needs to be followed up. We've done multiple radiometric surveys. We've done magnetic surveys over large portions of the tenement package. So we're hitting the ground at a very advanced stage. This is not a new listing where we're starting to generate and collating data and then starting the target generation process. We've already largely done all of those steps, so we're bypassing that, so we can certainly hit the ground running. I mentioned that we already have a team of geologists up on site. They're already doing reconnaissance work. They're already looking at some of the high priority targets, looking at the areas that we want to go and drill initially over the next few months. We've mobilised an exploration camp up to site in the last couple of weeks. So we're well set up, we're well established, we've got good infrastructure, we've got all of the light vehicles and other equipment necessary to go up there and start expanding and exploring at quite a rapid rate. We've got heritage surveys in place, we've got agreements and permission from the mines department to go and drill. We certainly, the next steps are we need to complete Aboriginal heritage surveys on the ground. We're locking in those dates at the moment. We certainly expect to be drilling in the first quarter post listing, hoping to be up there on the ground drilling no later than August or September of this year. Again, the nearology and the neighbours that we've got are very large, and the deposits that they're drilling out are becoming very significant in the region. I mentioned the Dreadnought one here. This is already about 15 million tonnes of rare earth resource. This is where I spent 5 years working up the Yangibana deposit. This is already 30 million tonnes of rare earth resource. Delta Lithium are drilling down here. This particular package down here is MI6, or Minerals 260. They are backed by Tim Goyder, who is obviously very well known in Western Australia through the Liontown acquisition from Albemarle. But there is a very hot property. There's a whole bunch of companies that are releasing many intercepts of rare earths and lithium and niobium and a lot of other critical minerals in this region. So it's a very hot property. The requirements for land, everything is taken up. There's no opportunity to go in there and pick up new land. So we're very excited by the opportunity that this very large package of land is presenting us at the moment. Looking at a bit more detail at the high priority targets, you can see this map here on the right hand side. Again, it's color coded by commodity. The green ones are the rare earth targets, the blue ones are the lithium targets, and the orange ones are the base metals, or the predominantly copper targets. We're very excited by a couple of opportunities. This target down here called Birthday Well is in very close proximity to the Delta's Unitara lithium discovery. We've got the same geology up to the north here that Dreadnought had with their Yin discovery. We have a lot of anomalous base metal targets that are coincident with the intersection of the tea tree shear and the money intrusion here. We have some very exciting targets there. So again, we need to get on the ground. We need to start ground truthing these, and we need to follow these up firstly with rock chip analysis, and then with substantial drilling programs over the coming months. This is the lithium target called Birthday Well. The target host rock here is called the Leak Spring Metamorphics. This is the same rock type that hosts the Unitara deposit, so just a couple of kilometres south of our boundary. We've got some coincident high-level lithium stream samples that sit over the top of that rock type. We have got the geology team out on the ground and mapping and assessing this project as we speak. Further to the west, this is the Crawford pegmatite field. We have a couple of large granite intrusions. We've done some rock chip sampling around the outside of these granites. We've got some lithium samples up to 300 ppm lithium. We certainly haven't done much more work than that, but we need to get on the ground and do the ground truth and start work in this particular area. We have quite a large array of potential rare earth targets. Most of them are predominantly in the centre part of our tenement package. These targets to date are generated predominantly from radiometric surveys. We have gone out in the field and started to look at some of these. We're quite excited by some of the things that we're starting to see in the field. We have upwards of about 30 targets that we systematically work through, and certainly we'll be prioritising the best radiometric targets coincident with what we see physically in the field over the coming months, and drilling them as a priority as well. These are two of the best rare earth targets that we've got. This one's called Cabbage Tree across the top row. We've got Maxwell along the bottom. These are the aerial photos that we can see just from Google Earth or from high quality aerial satellite images. What we're actually looking at here are some of these black zones that may represent these high rare earth bearing ironstones that are very normal for hosting large rare earth deposits in the Gascoyne region, and the same ones that host the Dreadnought and the Hastings deposits just to the north of us. These are the radiometric anomalies that are giving out a radioactive signature. The reason for that is that the rare earths are hosted in monazite. Monazite also has very, very fine or low levels of uranium and thorium. That's why they give off a radiometric signature. You can see that these signatures fit very well with the potential black ironstones here. And on the far right, this is satellite data that's measuring the quantity of iron in the rocks. And again, you can see that there's a very nice correlation with the iron, with the radiometrics, and with the aerial imagery, because they are ironstones and they are super elevated in iron. Typically can contain anywhere between 20 to 40% iron in these particular rocks. So we're very excited about these things, and certainly we think that there are strong possibilities of ironstones in drilling these targets again shortly in the near future. On the base metal side, we have quite an amazing array of very high quality base metal targets. This picture here, this is from probably our primary high priority target called Copper Ridge. You can see Copper Ridge on the map here. It's sitting right inside the Tea Tree Shear where it intersects a very large Money intrusion. The Money intrusion is a very significant regional mafic dike intrusion. Up to the north here, First Quantum Minerals and Dreadnought have been in a JV for several years now. They've spent upwards of nearly $20 million exploring for nickel and copper sulfides. They have certainly announced some quite exciting discoveries up there over the past few years, and that makes these sort of prospects that we've got very, very attractive. In the central part of Copper Ridge, we have an outcropping zone of about 600 metres elevated in copper. We've got copper in rock chips up to 5%. This is an outcrop that we've mapped. We did a very large soil program, these dots over the top of it, which extends the mineralisation of the copper anomalism up to 2 kilometres along strike. This is a walk-up drill target for us. We're very excited by this opportunity. This was only discovered some 18 months ago during a field reconnaissance visit, and we certainly already have a lot of the permits are required for drilling this particular prospect. To the south here, this is the prospect that we call Noonery Well. It's a very large copper anomaly. It's 4 kilometres by 2 kilometres. You can see that we've done soil samples that have generated the anomaly. Again, it's sitting right up in the northern part of our tenement boundary. It's sitting right at the intersection on the Money intrusion. There's no more work has been done other than the soils, so we need to get out in the ground and follow that up with drilling. On the next page here, two more of our more advanced copper projects. The one to the south here is called Coo Creek. Again, we've developed a very large copper anomaly. It's up to 2 kilometres long. Importantly, it's sitting in a host rock again called the Leak Spring Metamorphics. The Leak Spring Metamorphics along the Tea Tree Shear is very important. It's a very soft mafic type of host, and we're getting a lot of anomalism for copper and gold and nickel and those sort of commodities along the Tea Tree Shear. We need to go up and drill this anomaly. There's no drilling to date. On the top, up here, this is our Mini Springs project. This is probably one of the only projects that's had any historical work done of note. These little white collars here, or dots, represent drill collars that were drilled from 2006 through to 2015. There has been work done, quite a lot of diamond and RC drilling was done to develop quite a sizable molybdenum resource. Current estimates are anywhere between sort of 12 to 84 million tonnes, and the grade is very high. It can be up to 0.1% moly, which is grades that are typically higher than what you get in South American porphyry systems. The rock type here has been logged as a porphyry. We're not placing too much priority on the molybdenum resource at the moment, but what we're very excited by is the opportunity to have a look at this coincidence copper anomaly that sits right next door to it. This is 3 kilometres long. It sits right on the Minga Bar fault system there. We've got rock chip samples up to 7%. We've got pathfinder elements elevated in gold and silver as well. So again, we're very excited by this. There's no drilling in this copper anomaly at all. Again, we've mapped it. We've started to do some ground truthing there. So we're quite excited by what we see there. And again, this will become one of our first drill targets that we drilled during our first drilling campaign. This is a summary of our schedule in no particular order, except that we think that some of our rare earth targets at the top are going to be some of the easy ones to drill. The ironstones are outcropping on the surface, so they tend to be walk-up drill targets. I've showed you some of the lithium targets close to some of the neighbouring discoveries. We'd like to look at them. So there's a good chance that we'll drill them over the coming weeks and months as well. And then, like I've showed you quite an amazing array of very high quality base metals, predominantly copper targets. We'll get out in the field and start mapping and start understanding these targets with a little bit more detail, with a view to really working them up and getting them ready to be drill ready in the third quarter of this year, into the fourth quarter as well. We have a very large drilling program planned over the next 2 years. We're well funded at the moment. Like I said, we raised $10 million. We're going to spend 60 to 70% of that money will be spent on the ground, drilling holes, and we've got more than 50 priority targets that we want to drill at the moment. So we've got a whole range of activities that we need to complete. I think for me, the key takeaways are that we've certainly got a very dominant land holding in the Gascoyne region. It's certainly not easy to get land in the Gascoyne at the moment. It's probably one of the hottest emerging geological terrains in Australia, if not in the world, for discovering critical minerals. Like I said, there's been numerous critical mineral deposits and mineral resources discovered just over the last couple of years. We've got an amazing array of priority targets that we need to work through. We've already completed $5 million and about 5 years of work to get us to this position. All of our land is 100% owned by Augustus Minerals. We don't have any JVs through our tenements with any other entities. And certainly the background of myself, having spent 5 years already working in the Gascoyne, our General Manager of Exploration, Andrew Reid, was also working with me at Hastings on the Yangibana project. He's got 35 years of experience, 2 years of direct experience in the Gascoyne region. We have a lot of connections through the service providers that work the Gascoyne region. We're well known to the pastoralists, we're well known to the local shires. So we certainly are hitting the ground running, and we think that we can replicate some of the results of our neighbours over the coming months. Thank you very much.